Namaste, I'm Dr. Amit here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Dr. Amit Official. So today we are starting our very first lecture from neurology. So today we'll deal with basic introduction to neuroanatomy. So let's start our lecture on basic introduction to neuroanatomy. So let's start with very basic, okay? So our nervous system has been classified into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, okay? In central nervous system, we have brain and a spinal cord. And in peripheral nervous system, we have cranial nerves, which is 12 pairs, and spinal nerves, which is 13 pairs. So cervical 8 pairs, thoracic 12 pairs, lumbar 5 pairs, sacral 5 pairs, and coccygeal 1 pairs, okay? Now we'll see in picture. So our central nervous system, we have this brain and this spinal cord, okay? This is in the central nervous system, okay? So again, if you look in this picture, so this is our brain, okay? So we'll learn all the different parts of the brain, and this is our spinal cord, okay? Now while talking about the peripheral nervous system, we all know in peripheral nervous system, we have cranial nerves and spinal nerves. The cranial nerves is 12 pairs and spinal nerves is 31 pairs. So this brain and this spinal cord, okay? This is spinal cord in the central nervous system. Now while talking about the spinal nerves, we have this cervical plexus, thoracic nerve, lumbar plexus, sacral plexus, and coccygeal nerves, okay? So from this, the cervical nerves will be 8 pairs, and the thoracic will be 12 pairs, lumbar will be 5 pairs, sacral will be 5 pairs, and coccygeal will be 1 pairs, okay? So this is all about the peripheral nervous system. Now after knowing the classification, it's very important to know the planes, okay? If you don't know the planes, then it's very difficult to understand neuroanatomy, okay? So basically we have 3 planes. One is sagittal plane, one is coronal plane, or we can also say the frontal plane, and the third one is transverse plane. We'll see each plane in the figures, okay? So let's first understand these lines, okay? So sagittal plane means if you divide the body into right and left. Suppose this is a body, and if you divide this body into right and left, then there will be a sagittal plane. Then while talking about coronal plane or frontal plane, the body is divided into anterior and posterior half, okay? So suppose this is a body, okay? Suppose this is a body, and if we divide this body into anterior and posterior, okay, then this will be coronal plane, okay? And while talking about transverse plane, body divided into upper and lower half, okay? Suppose this is a body, and if we cut the body from middle, okay, and upper half, lower half and upper half will be divided, then that will be a transverse plane. Now we'll see in the picture. So let's understand this sagittal plane first, okay? So this sagittal plane is we divide the body into right and left plane, okay? So let's understand this with a banana, okay? Suppose this is your body, okay? And if you think this is right and this is left, so if you'll cut the body, okay, if you'll cut the body into like this, okay, into right and left, okay, if you'll cut the body into right and left, then this then this will be your sagittal plane, okay? Because you cut the body into right and left plane, so you can see like this part is showing this, okay? So this is your this is your sagittal plane. Now let's talk about coronal plane, okay? So in coronal plane, we divide the body into anterior and posterior half, okay? So let's again say this, okay? Suppose this is the anterior part of the body, okay? And this is the posterior part of the body, okay? So if we'll cut this body like this, anterior and posterior separately, okay? If you'll cut this body into anterior posterior separately, then this is the anterior part and this is the posterior part, okay? So this is so this is the coronal plane, okay? In coronal plane, we divide the body into anterior and posterior, and in sagittal plane, we divide the body into right and left half, okay? Now we'll talk about the transverse plane, okay? In transverse plane, the body is divided into upper and lower half, okay? Suppose this is a body, and if you cut the body from here, okay, upper half and lower half, then that will be a transverse plane. How to understand this? Suppose this is your body, okay, and if you'll cut this, suppose this is the upper part and this is the lower part. If you cut from here, okay, if you'll cut this body from here, okay, and if it's divided into two half, okay, suppose if it's divided into two part, okay, like this. Suppose this is your upper part and this is your lower part, okay? So this is this is your transverse plane, okay? Now I hope you got all the planes, okay? The sagittal plane, just divide the body into right and left. in coronal plane, just divide the body from here, okay? Just give a cut and divide the body into anterior and posterior. And in transverse plane, just cut the body from here and upper half and lower half, okay? So this is all about the planes. So plane is very important in neuroanatomy. Now we'll talk about the different how the brain has been classified into forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain, okay? So we'll see the brain in sagittal section. Sagittal section means, suppose this is your brain, then the brain has been divided into right and left. We have cut the brain from the middle, okay, into right and left half, okay? So when you talk about, so the brain is also called as encephalon, okay? So first we'll see the forebrain, okay? Forebrain is also called as prosencephalon. So it has been divided into two. One is telencephalon and one is diencephalon, okay? And in telencephalon we have cerebral hemisphere and basal ganglia, and in diencephalon we have thalamus, hypothalamus and retina, okay? In this forebrain we have lateral ventricle and third ventricle, okay? Now we'll see this in a figure. So when we will see in figure, okay? So if you'll see in figure, so this is your, okay, this is your hemisphere, okay? This is your right hemisphere and this is your left hemisphere. So this part is left hemisphere and this is right. So this is whole is a hemisphere, okay? Now in forebrain, when we look at basal ganglia, okay, it has two parts, okay? Now, the one is cerebral hemisphere, okay? This is a half cerebral hemisphere, and this part is basal ganglia, okay? So when you will do the sagittal section, okay, when you cut into right and left half, then this is your basal ganglia, okay? Now in forebrain we also have thalamus, okay? So this part is thalamus, okay? This the posterior to that basal ganglia, this part is thalamus, okay? So this is half cerebral hemisphere, this all is cerebral hemisphere, and this part is thalamus, okay? Now in the cerebral hemisphere, talking about the hypothalamus, okay? So this part, okay, this part is hypothalamus, okay? Now we'll talk about midbrain and hindbrain, okay? So we have seen the forebrain and its picture. Now midbrain, okay? Midbrain is also called as mesencephalon, and in midbrain we have cerebral aqueduct, okay? The cerebral aqueduct from third ventricle, okay, the CSF flows to fourth ventricle through cerebral aqueduct, okay? So that passage will be present in the midbrain. Now the last one is hindbrain, that is rhombencephalon, okay? Rhombencephalon has been divided in two parts. One is metencephalon and one is myelencephalon, okay? So in metencephalon there is pons and cerebellum, okay? We'll see in the picture. And this part, okay, myelencephalon contain medulla, okay? And this both contain the upper part of fourth ventricle and lower part of fourth ventricle, okay? Now we'll see this in the picture. Now if you look in this picture, okay, so this is cerebrum, okay? This part is cerebrum, okay? We have cut this brain in sagittal section. So this is a half and the another half has been cut, okay? So you can, when you can see this is also called as brain stem, okay? This all part is called brain stem. In brain stem, this green part, okay, this green part is a midbrain, okay, and this part is pons and this is medulla oblongata, okay? We'll see another picture also. Now when you will see this picture, okay, so this is your cerebrum, okay? Now this is your brain stem, okay? This is cerebrum, and the posterior part, this is cerebellum, okay? It's a part of hindbrain, okay? And this is your spinal cord, okay? Now when you will when this cerebrum has been removed, okay, now cerebrum removed, then this is thalamus, this part is your midbrain, this is pons, and the downgoing part, okay, this part is medulla oblongata, okay? In medulla oblongata we have pyramid and olive, okay? We'll talk about this in later lecture in details, okay? In we'll talk all the structures in detail in neuroanatomy series, okay? So this is all, okay? Now I'll show you another one picture. Now we'll focus only on the important parts, okay? So this is your cerebrum, right? No issue, okay? Now these are the lobes, okay? No need to know that right now. So this part, this posterior part is cerebellum. This is nose, okay? The posterior part is cerebellum, okay? And this is cerebrum, okay? Now this is a brain stem, okay? In brain stem we have the downgoing part is what? This is the spinal cord, okay? And over here there's a midbrain, then pons, then medulla oblongata, and downgoing part is spinal cord, okay? So just remember this peak, okay? Now we'll summarize everything in 30 seconds, okay? So we have in nervous system we have two. One is central nervous system and one is peripheral nervous system, okay? The central nervous system contain what? Brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system contain these cranial nerves and these spinal nerves, okay? So cranial nerve is 12 pairs and spinal nerve is 31 pairs, okay? Now we have talked about the different planes, okay? So in sagittal plane, body is divided into right and left. In coronal plane, we divide the body into anterior and posterior, and in transverse plane, we divide the body into upper and lower half. Okay. Then we talked about forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain, and different parts. Okay. In next video, we'll talk about different types of supporting cells of CNS. Okay. If you like this video, please subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you.